Hello, all. Welcome back. It's been a day, and I'll definitely get to my revelations that God had given me today. So, I believe the last time I was talking about the boil or the styes that were coming in my eye, and I believe that it was due to this devil worship group that I thought were witches, and I'll get to why I determined what was going on. Um, so, I get back, to so I go to church with my roommate, and I think it really helped, even though I didn't like connect, and but I kind of it got my energy moving. It got God's energy moving, and I started praying more, and all of a sudden, I'd been on the sleeping medication um, for like, oh my gosh, it would have been 2004, and it's now 2018 when I decided I was going to wean myself off because they had me on so much medication. I was like, I got to find an answer to what's going on, and figure it out. And someone told me that I had to find my strength. And then, I was talking to the pastor of this church. It's a really good church. I like this pastor. Um, he makes things understandable, and he preaches really well. So he told me that I had to find my strength too, and he gave me this book that sat on my um, sat in my room for a good couple months probably, and so I'm working and trying to just do life, and going back to meetings more, and um, just my outlook was changing. I was getting stronger, um, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and I was losing weight. And I lost some, almost, I believe, 10 pounds, close to 10 pounds, without, dieting or anything, just trying to change my diet, not eat as much sugar and junk. And so I, in November, like the beginning of November, my work calls our whole department into meetings, and they tell us that they were going to give us a $4 an hour raise. Oh my gosh. I wanted to bust out crying because I was so grateful. I knew it was coming from God, stuff that doesn't happen these days, Um, and I just, I was, there was so much relief because, my paychecks were like, I'd pay my bills and I'd have $30, and I was missing work, and but God made a way. God took care of me. I was able to do everything, and so I'm going through, and it's end of November, um, middle of December, close to Christmas, maybe be either right before Christmas. I think it was right after Christmas that, you know, everything was good, and I was happy, had a lot of energy. I wasn't sleeping a lot, but it wasn't affecting my emotional stability, and I wasn't getting depressed. I was just real happy, even though stuff was still going on with the spiritual attacks. So I went ahead, and I'm like, something, I'm not getting something, because everything felt right, but it felt like I needed to know more. And so I I do believe in prayer. Prayer for me, is a very much a learning experience, and God tells me what to pray. And so I let God do a lot of that. And so I got down on my knees, and this small prayer came to me. And I said, God, show me what has been keeping me from deepening my relationship with you. Now, it had to have been 10 years since I watched like real cable TV or news. I mean, I have Roku and stuff, but I don't even do like Netflix or stuff. You know, my friend has a what he calls Plex, and I watch TVs and movies off of there, but I don't really do a lot. And I was like, oh, I read a lot, you know. And so I wake up, and the next day, and I had just recently gotten into watching videos on Facebook. And maybe a couple weeks before that, I noticed they had this Ellen video, and I watched it, and I really liked, you know, how she was so giving, and, you know, people's lives changed. And I was like, gosh, how does she do all this? You know, and I just thought so much of her. And so I did that, and the next day I did that prayer, and the next day I got my video thing on Facebook, this video I'd never seen before of the Anonymous Collective came up on my screen. And so I watched it, and I was like, that's strange. You know, I don't remember specifically what it was, but it piqued my interest. And so I tried to search for more videos on there, and it wasn't. And then it came across my mind, you know, I need to go to YouTube, see if I can find any more of these videos. And so I searched the Anonymous Collective, and I watched one other video, and it was really weird. It felt like the hand of God was on me. There's a couple of things, you know, God had I have gone through a lot, by which I have shared with you. So by working the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, I've learned how to manage, you know, extreme emotion and not react on it. So I can be like in the eye of the storm. And then there's the thing that if 2 or more people are telling me something, then God is trying to tell me something. So I start, and you know what? I didn't search out. I just searched out that one, and everything that came up, I just kept watching the next video that was on queued to watch. And I mean, I was like, I have been asleep my whole life. You know, it was politics and environment and, you know, what was really going on and what wasn't being shown in mainstream media. And it was really funny because things started coming up about Trump, and how other videos were coming up on how the elections were rigged. And I mean, I watched several of each thing, and they were all saying primarily the same thing. And I was like, you know what? When Trump came out and won, I told my roommate, I said, we're going to die. We're all going to die. It's going to be a nuclear war. That's what I was thinking to myself, the nuclear war. And I was like, and she'd been telling me for years, she goes, you need to do some research. You know, I was like, I don't watch TV. I don't want to know. I can't do anything about it. And, wow, you know, it felt like someone stuck a cord in my brain and downloaded information to me. And it was like that for a good week and a half, and but I was watching this stuff and I was horrified, horrified, and God knew what He was doing because I trusted in Him that I needed to know this information, and I realized that I had let my own fears and problems allow me to stick my head in the sand, and I didn't know what was really going on. And the thing is this stuff that I was finding out was so big. I was like, why? I mean, even if I didn't watch TV, I would drive to and from work and I would hear things on the radio. Okay? So I knew that something was going on, that people weren't hearing what was truly, truly happening in the world. And it's very, very sad. And it was like an awakening. My whole reality and what I had been led to believe was completely a lie. And what everyone in the United States and the world had been led to believe was a complete and utter lie. The reality that we lived in is kind of focused. They want us focused so that we don't know what their plans for us really are. And I'm going to let that interest you. You can do your own research. I don't want to put my opinion on anyone because that's not what I'm about. And what was truly amazing, it every question or belief I had was debunked and answered. Okay, and that videos, I'd always gone like, I had a very like, how do I say it, like, because of where the beliefs of my mom, I didn't really have a lot of belief in the Bible, and I didn't have a lot of belief that I had to go through Jesus to get to God. I talk to God all the time, and I let Him mold me and change my life, and I went through things that were traumatic and horrific to get to the other side because I had trust and faith in God. And I kept seeing like all these, I didn't stop anywhere. I mean, if it came up, I was watching it. And some of these videos were like hours long, but you know what? I was like, I need to know this stuff. And so these sermons were coming on, and they were saying all these different scriptures, and I don't know the verses and the scripture number or what book it was from, but they were all different books. There were so many about it saying that I had to accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior to get to God, and it was like a floodgate. I understood. It was so profound. I realized the sacrifice God made, and the sacrifice that Jesus made because He loved me, because His Father loved me. He agreed to go all through this horrific pain to die for my sins. I mean, God was the only other one that had just accepted me as I was, sinful and all. That's where He started with me. I was covered in sin. Every thought I had was sin. And He spoke to me and I listened. So, I realized, hey man, all these lies that I had believed just because of belief, and I didn't even do any research. And, there was another thing. realized, one of the things that stuck out in my brain was that that you must not kill, okay? Well, the Roe versus Wade, and this is my opinion, I'm not telling you to believe what I believe. When I got pregnant with my son, I felt his soul enter my body. I knew I had a life in there. I mean, but my brain was like, oh, no, you're not really feeling that. But you know what? The stick turned blue. So how could I know that and then it turned blue? So that proved to me that at conception, there is life in that child. And I always believed, even before I got pregnant like that, that I couldn't do that because it was killing for me, but other people could, and now I totally don't believe that. You know, I don't know much about the Bible, and I am willing to do whatever I can to learn about the Bible because it is, I believe it's the truth. I've been lied to and led away from the Bible, and I do firmly believe a lot of the tragedy that I went through and pain as a child was because of society's view to kill the family, because there's strength and value in family. Even as a child, I knew that. That's what I wanted. But my family was broken. Very, very broken. And I went back generations, okay? Plans have been in place for generations. It's really sad, and the outcome would have been really, really bad for each and every one of us, children to elderly. I mean, I'm horrified by what I found. And, a lot of people say, oh, it's conspiracy theories. Well, let me tell you what. If God tells me 2 or more people tell me something that's the same, that's no conspiracy. That's God telling me I need to open my eyes and investigate. And I wasn't doing it, so God was going to force me. He was going to bring it. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to open up another video. And then my hope is that to maybe do questions and answers if anyone has any questions, or I'm just going to try and go over everything that I possibly can. God bless, guys. Oh, I didn't pray. Oh my gosh, I didn't pray. Okay, sorry, guys.